Okay, so now that we've done removing the distraction and you saw the power of the healing brush and the cloning, now it's time to go to other parts that maybe I would say like right now I don't use it so much for the levels, also the saturation and all that because I found that Adobe Lightroom does a way better job. Was way better job. It's just that it's easier to do it in Lightroom and faster to do it in Lightroom when you're working with the saturation and the levels that we can call into Lightroom. But over here, sometimes like you get the photo, like this is a sunrise that I took. And then in here, if you go to the adjustment, if you don't see your layer panels, like you can double click or just see the adjustment. If you don't see the adjustment, you can go to the windows and you can see like the adjustment over here and you just activate that. I'll double click just to see it. So then you have all of these settings. You have the brightness and contrast. I don't usually use this one into Photoshop unless I'm doing more like a composition. We'll see that maybe later on onto the extras of videos. This is one that I use very often to the levels, and that's why I use that kind of terms for the other part of the Lightroom. So if I click onto this, you can see the histogram, and hopefully by now you know what is the levels or the histograms. So if you can see there's a lot of dark, obviously it was in the morning, and then not too much of brightness. So in here, obviously I want to keep it dark as it is. You can actually just, either you can just bump up the actual brightness or whatever you want to do. This one, in this case, it will be just the kind of gray zone. So if you want to make it brighter, you can go to the left side. So that'll be like, okay, daylight. Or what I much prefer to do is just like increase that saturation or just increase that contrast, we can call it. So you can go, let's go right to here. Like, look at this difference. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Like, most people, when you shoot into raw pictures, is that you want to probably increase the contrast because it kind of comes in flat a little bit. So therefore, you want to go and increase the contrast. So that's one way that you can do that. I kind of like the feeling of just that little kind of area where you can see where was the snow, and then this sky looks pretty good. So when you want to go back, you can just click on this arrow over here. You can always go and see if the effect toggle on and off, I mean. This is the off, so this was the before, and this is the after. So that's fairly easy to do, okay? And then if you want to play with the levels of presets, all of these things over here, you have some of the presets that are the most popular one that you're gonna see as you can look in. You see darker, you can click onto this and say, yeah, this is really darker than what we did. You can actually just increase the contrast. There we go. Keep on adding. So if I go back to my layers, this is what is going on. So you see, this was my first level that I did by myself. Then I did the other one, which is like contrast a lot, and then the other, another contrast but darker, and this is the contrast. So if you go and check mark this, after looking at this, that looks not too bad. It's up to you, like what you're looking for and all of that. So therefore, the saturation part, I don't use Photoshop for that because I found that the Lightroom does a way better job than that. Okay, but just to show you maybe some cool effects, sometimes you want to check it out. You can also use the create a hue saturation. So if you click onto this, here's a quick way to do it. Like if you go to the saturation, you can go to the default. You can choose like the red boost, or in this case, it was really a lot of orange kind of red. So if I click onto this, you can see that, yeah, before and after. This is the before and this is the after. And you can actually just increase the saturation. And you can do that for every part. Like if you have a sky, I believe if you go in here, you get the increase the saturation more. Okay, so these are the ones that you can actually use. So if you go into this one, and then I'm just gonna delete, oops, I'll go in here and I'll delete, oh no, it's still the same. So double click onto this just to come back. And then as you saw into Lightroom, we'll see that later on, is like the lightness, and also you can make it dark if you want to, you can make it lighter. Double click on the lightness, it comes back to 0. And then if you want to have some fun, as I said, you can actually just colorize this thing, and look at that. You can actually just choose whatever color you want. So you can make it really drastically different. And then just like the saturation, there we go. So we got an explosion, going on into this photo. So hopefully, like this is really short, is because it's just that I play mostly into Photoshop. I just play with the levels. That's what I do. Okay. So therefore, I just use this guy over here. Uh, The other part, the saturation and all this, not so much. So hopefully that will give you an idea that, okay, maybe the adjustment of the levels is really good in this video, but also it's just that I may not want to do the saturation into Photoshop. It's much easier into Lightroom. So the next one will show you how to do some sharpening into this Photoshop.